Part 40. Global copy, My talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 391. Restoring Wu Ma's injuries is not difficult for Lu Zhaoqi, who has upgraded his skills to SSS, SS Add 1. Wang Yanran doesn't even need to take action. Lu Zhaoqi works together with Star Prayer, Stars Shine, her broken arm was reborn as before. Later, Lu Zhaoqi also learned what happened from her mouth. What shocked Lu Zhaoqi was that the person who imprisoned Zhao Sueking was not the ill-informed mistress of the Zhao family as he thought. Instead, he is the head of the Zhao family. That is, Zhao Sueking's biological father, Zhao Yehua. The reason is also very magical. The reason turned out to be that the Kunwu mirror controlled by Zhao Sueking disappeared for no reason. This incident shocked everyone in the Zhao family, and several elders became furious and threatened to execute Zhao Sueking for losing the Kunwu mirror. Zhao Sueking was also speechless and unable to argue. After all, as the holder of Kunwu mirror, although this treasure has fallen into a deep sleep, it has been lying in her body peacefully. Who would have known that when she woke up one day, she suddenly found that the Kunwu mirror that could be clearly sensed had magically disappeared from her body. The most important thing is that just as the mirror disappeared, this group of people immediately jumped out and arrested Zhao Sueking as if they were prepared and expected. A set of procedures flowed smoothly, as if they had been rehearsed in advance. Seeing that the situation was not good, Wu Ma immediately followed Zhao Sueking's instructions and slipped out to the imperial capital to find Lu Zhaoqi's help. However, she was chased and intercepted by a group of men in black on the way, and lost an arm as a result. Fortunately, he met a group of kind-hearted people who helped him while escaping, and he survived. Lu Zhaoqi was quite puzzled by this. From Zhao Sueking's mouth, Lu Zhaoqi learned that Zhao's father was undoubtedly a timid middle-aged man who loved his daughter very much. Because he was coerced by the power of his family and became a tool for marriage, he could not marry the woman he loved openly. But his love and care for his daughter can be seen in every detail. To be precise, without Zhao Yehua's support, it would be impossible for Zhao Sueking to grow up smoothly. And such a family head and father actually led the family elders to imprison his daughter as if he had planned it? If Lu Zhaoqi's own cultivation had not reached the level of a saint, he would have almost thought that he was hallucinating because he woke up so violently this morning. But no matter what the reason behind this, Lu Zhaoqi will never allow Zhao Sueking to be harmed in the slightest. In just 3 hours, Lu Zhaoqi appeared in front of the Zhao family compound in Yazhu according to the address given by Wu's mother. As the head of the 4 major families in the Dragon Kingdom, the Zhao family's residence is magnificent, with historical charm and elegance. It has grey tiles and white walls and a tall gatehouse. The gatehouse walls have exquisite carvings, and the carvings on the roof are even more exquisite and beautiful. There is a running water system in the whole building, which is in line with nature, and each residence is high or low according to local conditions. It is well proportioned and appears to be integrated. Coupled with the green trees, echoing mountains, green tiles and green eaves, red walls and green trees, it feels like you have stepped into a dream world, making you feel like you are in a fairyland. The surrounding walls and portals were flashing with exquisite runes, and a faint wave of energy filled the air. Obviously, if someone tries to break in without telling you, they will pay a heavy price. If it were normal times, Lu Zhaoqi might still have the intention to learn from other people's tastes and styles, and it would be great to use them in the construction of his own pure land of bliss. But now he has no intention of focusing on it. He just glanced at it lightly, then stepped forward and kicked the door. The restriction on the door sensed the intrusion of a foreign object and immediately lit up, a huge wave of energy ready to go off. But it's no use at all. Lu Zhaoqi's solace filled with pure mana broke through the shield formed by the energy restriction like a broken bamboo, and were heavily imprinted on the door with huge copper nails. The huge mahogany door, which was estimated to be at least 100 years old, fell down with the sound, and Lu Zhaoqi's clear and melodious voice spread throughout Zhao Di. We still have time. Zhao Xueqing struggled for a while, but couldn't escape the restraints. She looked at her father in confusion and said, "Why do you want to imprison Xueqing here?" Zhao Xueqing was confused when she heard it, but she also paid attention to a few key words. To be honest, he does not have the aura and airs of being the head of the family, but rather a bit indecisive. Zhao Xueqing's eyelids twitched, and a slight chill rose in her heart. Planning for a family fortune. In a secret room in the ancestral residence of the Zhao family. Zhao Yehua stared intently at this girl who had shown some peerless grace, as if through her shadow he saw the lilac-like girl smiling at him. This is the first impression Zhao Yehua left on people. Look carefully at this middle-aged man. Hearing this, Zhao Xueqing's eyelids trembled. She slowly opened her eyes, looked at the man in front of her with a complicated expression, and whispered, "Father." Vicissitudes of life, melancholy, it seems that I have suffered all the grievances in the world, and I have stories hidden in my heart but cannot tell others. Zhao Xueqing's heart sank when she heard this, and she felt a bit ominous for no reason. But I didn't expect that she would dare to set her sights on my only daughter. At this moment, he was only in his early 40s, but his temples had already turned white, and his expression revealed a look of vicissitudes of life. Only daughter. He muttered the last sentence to himself in a lowered voice. It's just that his face is more feminine and lacks the masculinity of a man. Lu Zhaoqi, the new Sun Yao adventurer from the Dragon Kingdom, came to pay homage to the mountain. After being stunned for a moment, he suddenly smiled and said, unknowingly, "Xueqing has grown so big and has become a big girl. If she knew, I don't know how happy she would be." Did the she in his father's mouth really mean his aunt? The aunt here refers to the Zhao family's mistress. Still have time? After a pause, he murmured to himself, originally, I just thought that her purpose was just to plot the Zhao family's huge family fortune. I was already so frustrated that I didn't even bother to worry about it with her. He was busy for a while before he paused. He turned back to look at Zhao Xueqing, a soft color flashed in his eyes, and said softly, "You haven't opened your eyes yet when you wake up." Not only did he fail to protect the woman he loved, he almost lost his own daughter. As he said that, Zhao Yehua's expression suddenly became a little more ferocious and resolute. Zhao Yehua smiled slightly and said, "Don't be impatient. Listen to me and tell you slowly. No, I will never allow it." Her biological father was standing in the secret room arranging something. Zhao Yehua didn't see Zhao Xueqing's expression, so he smiled bitterly and said, "Your father is a complete loser. He is as handsome as the protagonist Lu Zhaoqi, and he is as handsome as the grandfathers in the audience in front of the screen." Zhao Xueqing, who was bound by the restriction, leaned against the stone pillar with a depressed look on her face, her eyes closed tightly, as if she had fallen into a coma. And he's so good. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 392. The mistress of the Zhao family wants to kill her. Zhao Xueqing is not surprised by this. In fact, she knew this a long time ago. Including several attacks by cultists, Zhao Xueqing was vaguely aware of something unusual. It seems that someone is hiding behind the scenes and secretly controlling everything. The attack by the cultists she mentioned was when she was forced into the dungeon after taking the adventurer assessment, and when she and Lu Zhaoqi went to clear the Tower of Confusion, but the Tower of Confusion disappeared. The monsters in Chengdu attacked the city, and it's the cultist who broke into the barrier in this global adventurer competition. It seemed like it had nothing to do with her, but every time something happened, it affected her just right. This is too much of a coincidence. Just, why? Zhao Xueqing has always had such a doubt in her heart. She, the mistress of the Zhao family, was extremely powerful and controlled endless resources. Why does she have to have such a hard time with me, an illegitimate daughter? Zhao Xueqing initially thought it was because of her father and mother. Jealousy from the older woman. But when she heard her father's words, she suddenly realized that things might not be as simple as she thought. Zhao Yehua also noticed the surprise on Zhao Xueqing's face, and couldn't help but smile miserably. Don't you understand? It doesn't matter, Dad will tell you the whole story from the beginning. As soon as the word Dad came out, Zhao Xueqing's heart suddenly trembled, and her eyes turned slightly red. She had never shouted the word, never heard it from her father. Compared with slightly respectful terms such as Zhao family master and father, she was more willing to use Dad to call the man in front of her. But, noticing his daughter's mood, Zhao Yehua lovingly stretched out his hand and rubbed the top of Zhao Xueqing's head, and began to tell the story of the incident. More than 20 years ago, when he was not the head of the Zhao family, he was just a high-spirited young man. An accidental adventure in the dungeon led him to meet Wang Yi, the eldest daughter of the Wang family. Then, the nightmare begins. At first, a few people walked together. As the only woman in the team, the gentle and generous Wang Yi naturally gained Zhao Yehua's favor. Especially since both of them are descendants of aristocratic families, they naturally have more in common with each other. This caused dissatisfaction with another narrow-minded man in the team. He admired the beautiful Wang Yi very much in his heart. When his pursuit failed, he had evil thoughts. As the saying goes, if you like someone, just confess it. If your confession fails, just fuck her. If you don't even dare to QJ, how can you like her? At the worst, I'll just go in and use the sewing machine for a few years. After the transformation is completed, I will still fuck her. Maybe it was influenced by this wise saying. This person thought so too. He found an opportunity to make an appointment with Wang Yi alone to confess his love, and plotted against her. Wang Yi, who was unprepared, naturally fell into the trap. What a coincidence, all this was interrupted by Zhao Yehua, who happened to be passing by and noticed something was wrong. After an encounter with the protagonist, Zhao Yehua had no choice but to declare responsibility for Wang Yi. It seems to coincide with the plot of some bloody novels. But in fact, all of this was planned by Wang Yi long ago. That's right. Something even more devastating happened. The purpose is to successfully marry into the Zhao family. The child born to Wang Yi is not Zhao Yehua's seed. There is no doubt that she succeeded. Obviously, Zhao Yehua was completely defeated in this confrontation. But the good times did not last long, and the matter was quickly exposed. After all, as a child of a noble family and an outstanding adventurer, having 3 wives and 4 concubines is just normal. Although the two were already married at the time, Zhao Yehua, who was not focused on this, was not greedy for the love between his children. Even when doing things, he secretly used props. Okay. As soon as the sentence came out, I believe that readers who are witty, smart, and handsome have already reacted. Wang Yi, who had already settled the matter, dismissed the matter lightly. After the child was born, Zhao Yehua secretly went for an examination and found that it was indeed not his, but the child actually belonged to the Zhao family. Zhao Yehua's behavior is undoubtedly a naked slap in the face of the Wang family. The child's biological father is none other than Zhao Yehua's biological father. This woman with a meticulous and unpredictable mind has been plotting against Zhao Yehua from the beginning to the end. This had to make Zhao Yehua suspicious. But the problem is that Wang Yi is not a woman from an ordinary family. Thus the denunciation of the pair of wild mandarin ducks organized by the 2 major families began. Especially when it is vaguely related to myself. Even if Zhao Yehua hadn't picked up on the timing of her pregnancy, the seemingly glorious head of the Zhao family might have been kept in the dark for the rest of his life. This plot is buried a bit deep. I can't finish it in this chapter. The next chapter will talk about why this woman did this and what she planned. Under such circumstances, Wang Yi successfully became pregnant. The two naturally got together. Hearing such an outrageous story about family ethics, even Zhao Xueqing, who has always shown a frosty image to others, couldn't help but open her mouth in shock and her pupils widened. This was the reason why he later met Zhao Xueqing's mother. Zhao Yehua was shocked when he learned about this incident. He was completely devastated and deeply shocked. Of course, she also took a step back, which created the conditions for Zhao Xueqing's birth. If the woman Zhao Yehua married was just an ordinary woman, then there would be nothing to say about him getting along with Zhao's mother. Even if he threatened the cuckold case in private, it didn't have much effect. Suddenly I had the idea of running away from home. The gentle and watery lilac girl was like a spring breeze in the countryside, gently soothing Zhao Yehua's deeply traumatized soul. She is the eldest daughter of another aristocratic family. This melon is so full. In addition, Wang Yi has successfully established a foothold in the Zhao family with her deep knowledge and excellent acting skills. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global copy, My talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy has bad luck. Chapter 393. Obviously, as a newbie, Zhao Yehua could not imagine how versatile Wang Yi, a high player, could be. Under her series of tricks, the old head of the Zhao family quickly passed the throne to Zhao Yehua, but the one who really held the power was undoubtedly her, the matron of the Zhao family. The old family leader lost value and soon accidentally died in a dungeon adventure. At this time, Zhao Yehua finally realized that he could not defeat this woman just by relying on his own ability. So he began to hide his capabilities and bide his time while pretending to be deaf and mute, while secretly investigating Wang Yi's purpose of going all out to marry into the Zhao family. To this day, he still hasn't figured out what Wang Yi wanted to do, but based on various clues, Zhao Yehua set his sights on the Zhao family's heirloom, Kunwu mirror. Then it dawned on me. It turns out that this woman came here for this treasure that was rumored to be left over from ancient times. Although I don't know what she wants to do with it, after going in such a big circle, her plot has been exposed. First, get close to Zhao Yehua, marry into the Zhao family through an accident, then seduce the old family head, and give birth to a bloodline. An explanation must be made here. The inheritance of Kunwu mirror is very demanding. There is at most one inheritor in each generation. Before Zhao Xueqing, the known inheritor of the Zhao family was the old head of the Zhao family. Theoretically speaking, only a member of the Zhao family who can inherit the Kunwu mirror can naturally become the head of the Zhao family. According to usual experience, the descendants of inheritors often have a higher probability of obtaining inheritance qualifications. It seems to be related to bloodline. However, among the children and descendants of the old patriarch Zhao, no inheritor has been born who is qualified to hold the Kunwu mirror. In other words, if you combine with the old family leader Zhao, there is a high probability that you will be able to give birth to a child who can inherit the Kunwu mirror. It's a pity that Wang Yi's plan was obviously miscalculated. Although her eldest son was of the bloodline of the old patriarch Zhao, he did not receive the inheritance. Instead, the mediocre Zhao Xueqing suddenly emerged and inherited the Kunwu mirror. This is the main reason why Wang Yi wants to target Zhao Xueqing. It's ridiculous that she tried all her tricks, but she only missed one thing. Zhao Yehua laughed, waved his hand, and in the flash of fluorescent light, an ancient mirror with a broken mirror surface slowly emerged from Zhao Yehua's body in Zhao Xueqing's unbelievable eyes. The successors of this generation have actually come out a long time ago. That's me. Slowly touching the mirror, Zhao Yehua fell into recollection. I was still young back then, and when I worshipped my ancestors for the first time, I touched the Kunwu mirror and gained the inheritance. It's a pity that I was naughty and playful at that time, and was unwilling to bear the heavy responsibility as the head of the Zhao family, so I hid this matter. This led everyone to think that this generation had not yet given birth to the inheritor of the Kunwu mirror, so there was Wang Yi's conspiracy this time. Zhao Yehua smiled coldly and said, "This can be considered a mistake." In fact, Wang Yi's original plan was not wrong. If Zhao Yehua did not inherit the Kunwu mirror, then even if he married him and joined the Zhao family, the probability of his child inheriting the Kunwu mirror would be infinitely close to zero. Only by obtaining the bloodline of the old patriarch can we have a greater chance. But as the bloodline of the old family leader Zhao Yehua concealed the fact that he inherited the Kunwu mirror. This makes it absolutely impossible for their generation to have a second successor, so no matter how outstanding Zhao Sueking's nominal brother is in reality, he cannot inherit the Kunwu mirror. On the contrary, as Zhao Yehua's only direct descendant, the probability of Zhao Sueking inheriting Kunwu mirror is infinitely greater. In fact, this is exactly what happened. When Zhao Sueking came of age, she returned to the Zhao family to worship her ancestors. Once she entered her soul, she successfully inherited the Kunwu mirror. Or, the ticket to unlock it is human life. In other words, Plan A has a 50% chance of taking a gamble and either takes it all or loses. Plan B has a 100% chance of one person dying, and the remaining person will either take it all or lose their capital. Wang Yi's 20 years of planning were all in vain. How could she not hate it? Zhao Yehua smiled lovingly at Zhao Sueking and said slowly, "After consulting a large number of classics, I really found some clues." Following Zhao Yehua's description, Zhao Sueking realized that there was actually a power hidden in her blood that was completely different from the adventurer's talents and skills. After paying the price, the inheritor can enter the Kunwu mirror within the specified time to accept the test of the trial. Of course, even if he succeeds, the successors of the previous generation will not survive. This trial itself can only be opened by the inheritor, and the price paid is one's own life. In this way, the next generation of successors does not need to pay the price, and even if they fail the trial, they can still obtain the power left to them by the previous generation of successors. Thanks to Wang Yi's reminder, I finally set my sights on our Kunwu mirror. It is death-defying. So Zhao Sueking got one thing wrong from beginning to end. This kind of power needs to start the trial through Kunwu mirror, and it can only be awakened after completing the trial. Another way is that the surviving successors of the previous generation are willing to sacrifice their lives to open the door for the next generation of successors. If her plan failed, she would try another one. Of course, this is not the only way. Haha, how did you get your position as the head of the 4 major families in the Dragon Kingdom? But her plan was far more vicious than killing Zhao Sueking. Isn't it just relying on the power of blood? After all these twists and turns, it took Zhao Yehua a long time to find out about this thing that he should have known a long time ago. One is that the contemporary successors can start it themselves, and as mentioned above, they can do whatever they want. The old family boss was sent away by Wang Yi, and he got off the plane with a secret and received a lunch on the spot. If you pass the test, you will be resurrected with full blood and the power of your awakened bloodline. If you fail the test, you will get a GG on the spot. In fact, there are 2 ways to start the trial. She plans to abolish Zhao Sueking and make her a reproductive tool of the Wang family to breed the next generation of Kunwu mirror successors. It is also the key to unlocking the true power of our Zhao family's inherited bloodline. Wang Yi never thought about killing her, or she had thought about it before, but gave up after she inherited the Kunwu mirror. Since my children cannot inherit Kunwu mirror, then I will force you, Zhao Sueking, to marry into my Wang family and let your children inherit it. This secret was originally supposed to be known only to the current generation head of the family, and would only be passed on to the next generation of Kunwu mirror successors, but because of Zhao Yehua's trick, he played a trick. This secret was supposed to be completely buried with the death of that old guy. Here refers to Zhao Yehua's father, the head of the old family, but I didn't expect that I would discover it by chance. It turns out that this Kunwu mirror is not only an inherited object with unpredictable power, but more importantly. Anyway, she, Wang Yi, is bound to win Kunwu mirror. As for whether the power of this bloodline is strong, is it worth the life of the successor of the Zhao family? But the trial opened by Kunwu mirror is not a simple test. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 394. In order to protect the new successors, the Zhao family's usual practice is to start a trial for the next generation of successors when the previous generation's successor is about to die, in order to maintain the Zhao family's absolute combat power. And Zhao Yehua's grandfather, the successor of the previous generation, disappeared without a trace for some reasons in the early years, and did not have time to start the trial for the old family leader. And the old patriarch himself is also a greedy person who is afraid of death. Even if he knows the method of Kunwu mirror to start the trial, he is not willing to sacrifice his precious life to gamble on the meager odds. Over time, the Zhao family's peak combat power has long since ceased to exist, and they have been relying on the power they accumulated in the past. Somehow, the Wang family, who is also a member of the aristocratic family, noticed the clues about this matter, and this is how they started to become so evil. At this point, Zhao Xueqing already understood what was going on. She looked at her father with wide eyes and her lips trembled. But Zhao Yehua had already expected it. With a little finger, an invisible force restrained Zhao Xueqing so that he could not move and could not make a sound at all. Only then did Zhao Xueqing realize that the cowardly and incompetent father in her heart was actually so powerful. He actually possesses Yuexi's peak level of combat power. Just by raising your hand, you can easily control yourself completely. After struggling hard for a moment to no avail, she could only look at Zhao Yehua with hopeful eyes, begging him not to do that. Facing Zhao Xueqing's plea, Zhao Yehua looked extremely frank and calm. He glanced at his daughter with a nostalgic look and said softly, "After living for so many years, I finally hope that you will grow up. You know, I have wanted to find her for a long time. I should have gone to find her a long time ago." The lilac girl who was unforgettable to him and as gentle as the bright sunshine in spring. The next moment, he also activated the Kunwu mirror in Zhao Xueqing's sad and painful eyes. As the formation in the secret room was slowly lit up, his face became pale little by little, and his body even became faintly transparent. Just like Zhao Xueqing's previous situation when she overdrawn herself. But his expression was so calm and calm, even, it could be said to be relief. He turned back to look at Zhao Xueqing and said with a loving smile, "Promise Dad that the Zhao family will leave him alone. Just take good care of yourself in the future." As his vitality quickly passed away, the restrictions on Zhao Xueqing that relied on his strength gradually collapsed. Zhao Xueqing finally broke through the confinement and shouted loudly, "No, Dad. Lu Zioqi, the new Sun Yao adventurer from the Dragon Kingdom, comes to pay homage to the mountain." "Yo yo yo. What a majesty," a high-pitched voice came from afar. "You, a newly promoted Sun Yao warrior, actually came to our Zhao family to act wild." But that person was in a miserable state. It was stuck on the wall and no one else could pick it off. But the next moment, she was sucked into a mysterious space by the mysterious power emitted by Kunwu mirror. I won't describe the specific form, so as not to say I'm stupid, you can refer to the divine power of dregs. Lu Zioqi looked around and happened to see her disgusting dress. He couldn't help but frown slightly and flicked his fingers. But with just this slap, Lu Zioqi has successfully established his image as a powerful Riyao. When others saw this, they immediately did not dare to step forward easily and could only look at him with expressions of shock and anger. "Tell your people in charge to come out and see me." Lu Zioqi looked around the audience and slowly said, "I am Tian Li." The leader among them shouted. The speaker was a woman dressed in a flashy dress. While speaking, she was rushing towards the side angrily. The woman who was about to speak seemed to have been hit by an overweight dump truck. She flew back without even letting out a scream and disappeared from Lu Xiaoqi's sight. "Who is your excellency?" Phew, finally, the plot of the Zhao family has been explained clearly. Next, it is about to go to everyone's favorite part of pushing someone Lu all the way. Don't blame Xiaopo Ji Shui Wei. In fact, this side mission, we have been thinking about it for a long time. After several days of hard work, you can't just write it without letting Xiaopo Ji write it clearly and just leave it at that, right? Lu Xiaoqi took some time to move her palms, curling her mouth slightly with a look of disdain. Who is in favor and who is against? Are you deaf? I've told you before. Lu Xiaoqi glanced at him. Lu Xiaoqi, the strong man of the sun. Zhao Xueqing's gradually dimming eyes suddenly brightened up. Everyone was stunned on the spot. In this world, are there any royal laws or laws of heaven? How dare you? How dare you offend me, the noble Sun Yao warrior? He performed for everyone on the spot what it means to be beaten like a hanging painting. The door panel flew out. Even in a trance, he seemed to see a familiar face standing not far away with a sweet smile and waving to him, just like when he first met. She opened her mouth as if to say. The strange thing is that this restriction originally had the function of protecting the wall, but after being smashed into it by this person, it didn't react at all, as if it was like this originally. Before he finished speaking, Lu Xiaoqi flew him out like a mosquito, and then stuck to the courtyard wall with a shimmering luster of prohibition with a chirp sound, and did not fall down for a long time. Hum hum. Enlighten yourself. Boom. Boom. Someone in the Zhao family compound immediately reacted and rushed towards Lu Xiaoqi. They said angrily, "You are so brave, how dare you trespass into Zhao?" But Zhao Yehua, whose body had become translucent, seemed to be unable to hear her voice. He slowly closed his eyes and quietly waited for his death to come. If you try hard to pull it, it will even touch the restriction on the wall, and you will be tortured to death by the raging energy. In fact, if he had not confirmed through the contact between the members of the Pure Land that Zhao Xueqing's condition was not serious at this time, he would have been a little gentler and allowed the Yuehui adventurer to escape with his life. Otherwise, he wouldn't have bothered to talk nonsense with them and just kill them all. Fortunately, he was still quite strong, and Lu Xiaoqi took into consideration that this was Zhao Xueqing's home, so he didn't do anything unscrupulously, otherwise. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 395. The whole place suddenly fell into silence. After a long while, a calm and sweet voice slowly sounded from behind. Is this the youngest Sun Yao warrior in the Dragon Kingdom? It's better to see it than to hear it 100 times. It's really amazing. Lu Xiaoqi immediately became happy when she heard this. Finally someone with some depth comes along and things get interesting. This may sound like a compliment to him, but in fact it is a common way to flatter him. It seems that his cultivation has reached the Sun Yao level at a young age, which is very impressive. In fact, it is a satire on his young impulsiveness, lack of etiquette, and domineering behavior. But she said it so politely and courteously that ordinary people wouldn't be able to refute her even if they heard some of the meaning, let alone if they didn't catch it. In this way, as the Zhao family and the victim, we stand on the moral high ground. If Lu Xiaoqi continues to act wantonly, her conscience will be condemned. But is this trick useful for Lu Xiaoqi? Obviously useless. If nothing else, just one sentence, does Lu Xiaoqi have a conscience? Lu, Ahem, what I mean is that Lu Xiaoqi, who comes from another world, has long seen through the tricks used by these unscrupulous families and is immune to them. There is an old saying that goes well, as long as there is no morality, then you cannot kidnap me with morality. So Lu Xiaoqi replied without even raising her head, as long as you know how powerful you are, if you're afraid, just give up quickly, otherwise I'll hit you soon and I'll beat your own mother so hard that she won't even recognize who you are. Everyone. Isn't this a slap in the face? The person who spoke before did not expect that Luzioki would not play according to the routine at all, and was suddenly stuck. He did not speak for a long time, and finally just sighed faintly and said, "You guys should stand down first. Even if you are here, you can't stop a strong person at the Sun Yao level. It will only increase casualties." Everyone present looked at each other in confusion after hearing this, and finally they could only bow their heads and say, "Yes, mistress." With just a glance, Luzioki could see that many people were secretly relieved. For them, facing a peak powerhouse who can absolutely crush them is too much pressure. After all, the lessons learned are there. So far, the one stuck on the wall has not been detained. Most of the people on the scene actually belong to the mother faction. After all, the Zhao family's mother-in-law is now powerful, and those who are unwilling to join in the evil have long been suppressed and pushed to the distribution frontier. How can they enjoy happiness in the Zhao family's residence? But factions are factions. I can defend you, but you can't ask me to risk my life. I joined you for the benefits, not to work for you. Luzioki could clearly see that most of these people had this idea. Obviously, the Zhao family's mistress knew the situation clearly, so she ordered everyone to retreat. This did not mean that she cared about her subordinates, but was simply trying to win people's hearts. On the other hand, it is also showing pity through this method, showing that my Zhao family is not as powerful as you, and you, the Sun Yao adventurer, are bullying the weak. This made Luzioki feel a little admired in her heart. This woman does have some skills. After all, he can see through people's hearts at a glance purely because of his awesome skills, and this woman can clearly see the situation on the field in this short period of time and make the most reasonable and best way to deal with it, without being too tough to anger. Luzioki will not be so weak as to discuss the Zhao family. There are indeed two brushes. The crowd dispersed, and like stars over the moon, the group followed a graceful lady and arrived in front of Luzioki. The leading lady smiled slightly, gave a slight blessing, and said, "Lu Rieo came here in person. I couldn't welcome you from afar, but I still hope to see Hai Han. I am Wang Yi, the mistress of the Zhao family. Now that my husband is away, I am temporarily in charge of the affairs of the Zhao family. I don't know what the purpose of Lu Rieo's presence is." The noble lady, oh, she should be called Wang Yi. Her voice is like a spring breeze, her voice is soft and sweet, her manners are natural, and her temperament is luxurious. You can't help but feel good about her when you first meet her. Luzioki raised his eyes and glanced at the ant who appeared many times in Zhao Xueqing's mouth, and had to admire her. What a beautiful woman. The appearance can be said to be like a flower shy of the moon, with a beautiful face, a graceful figure, and an elegant and quiet temperament. Luzioki originally thought that this woman would be a mean, sinister and vicious image, but she did not expect that in terms of appearance, she was really full of skills. Think about it, after all, how can a woman who can be chosen by the Zhao family to be married back be an ordinary person? Secondly, she just offended the master of the house some time ago and was imprisoned. Even as the mistress, I have no right to interfere with this matter. This also refreshed Luzioki's understanding. What's this so direct and leg-weakening charm? What is a domineering president? Who is he? How could I be afraid? I secretly wondered if this person's talent is all about cultivation. Don't you have a lot of brains? Knowing that she is just here to delay time, it seems that there is any backup preparation that can make her confident that she can compete with such a strong Sun Yao warrior like herself, or even fight back. So the reason why she dared to do this was because she already had a complete plan to deal with it. But no matter how gorgeous the appearance is, it cannot hide the darkness and filth inside. What she didn't notice was that when she thought this, Luzioki's face darkened suddenly, but she immediately returned to normal. this. Wang Yi looked embarrassed, looking at Lu Xiaoqi, but she felt a little happy in her heart. Oh. That's okay. I originally wanted to take this out and write a few pictures separately, but I was afraid that you would say you didn't like it and that I was stupid, so I deleted this part ahem, and also because the plot of the car rollover scene was really not interesting. How easy is it to write? After all, as a single dog, I don't even have a girl, so how do I know how to hug him from left to right? So I'll just mention it here and skip it. I'll talk about it later. The branch line repairs the relationship between the two, so please feel free to eat it, it won't hurt you at all. And will Lu Xiaoqi be afraid? Lu Xiaoqi just glanced down and saw her inner activities at this moment. Both emotions and reasons will not be as unbearable as Lu Xiaoqi imagined. Therefore, Mr. Lu decisively chose not to have sex with her, and went straight to the point. Don't tell me about the yes and no. As an old silver coin whose city is as bottomless as her breasts, how could Wang Yi not consider this? Wang Yi said in a gentle voice, first of all, Xueqing, as the second young lady of the Zhao family, rashly left with Lu Riao like this. It cannot be justified both emotionally and rationally. Anyone who stands in my way will die. Lu Xiaoqi's tone was calm, but his words were full of domineering. Coupled with his outstanding appearance, if some little girls saw him, they would probably scream and faint. In addition, the content in these brackets does not occupy the total number of words in the text. Don't worry. With an enemy like you, why should I, Wang Yi, worry about accomplishing anything? Please forgive me, Lu Riao, but this matter is not something I can decide. After all, Lu Xiaoqi's intentions towards Zhao Xueqing have not been concealed. Anyone who pays attention to this matter will more or less understand the close relationship between the two. It is precisely because of this incident that there was a fire in Lu Ming's backyard, which is why Lu Xiaoqi and Lu Wanyi interacted less. Although the woman said she didn't mind, she still had a grudge in her heart. Even she already knew her purpose. It turned out that someone from Lu had activated Ba Wang color haki, crossed out, arousing mana to release the aura of the Yuan Shen realm. Well, at most, my waist is a little sore. In addition, he himself is an outstanding talent cultivated by the Wang family, and he even has the ability to seek power. Even if he stood here and let them come together, there was absolutely no way he could move a single hair of Lu Xiaoqi, who was cheating, equipped with super weapons, triple S skills, and stacked with various buffs. A good move can use your strength to divert disaster to the east. I came here for one thing, to take Zhao Xueqing away. Joke. What does it mean to be good and manly? People often say that people are big-breasted and brainless, but obviously, Wang Yi is an exception. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 396. Look at how beautiful people's answers are. Is it possible for me, the Zhao family, to take you away as soon as you say? Even if you are a strong person in the sun, it is somewhat inappropriate, right? Furthermore, don't ask me for help. It's not me who locked her up. Don't take it out on me if you are angry. As for the questions you asked, I, Mr. Lu, can answer some questions. Lu Xiaoqi smiled slightly, almost grinning like Nike, slowly raised a finger and said, the reason why I came to take Zhao Xueqing away. It's because she's not happy staying here. As my woman, I will not allow her to be wronged in the slightest. As he spoke, Lu Xiaoqi's sharp eyes swept across the entire audience. Everyone he looked at was sweating profusely and looked frightened. In their perception, Lu Xiaoqi didn't look like he glanced at them, but like he lifted a big mountain and hit them hard. This is an illusion that occurs when two people with very different spiritual realms collide. The party with the lower realm will undoubtedly be completely crushed by the other party. The only exception was Wang Yi. Although this woman's face changed slightly and turned pale, she still held on tenaciously. Lu Zhaoqi was also a little surprised. Only then did I realize that this woman was not simple, she actually had the strength of Yu Hui's peak level. Thinking about it, with the resources of the Wang family and the Zhao family, after so many years of accumulation, even a dog is enough to reach the Yue level, let alone Wang Yi, who has excellent qualifications. Moreover, Lu Zhaoqi also saw a familiar face among the crowd. It is his uncle. That is, the man whom we met once at Zhao Xueqing's birthday party last time, Zhao Xueqing's brother. This person actually possesses the cultivation level of the middle stage of Yue Hui. He is just a little short of reaching the late stage of Yue Hui. However, when he was suppressed by Lu Zhaoqi's overbearing power, his face suddenly turned blue and white, and he almost vomited blood. However, Lu Zhaoqi didn't pay much attention to this person, and he didn't know that this guy who didn't even deserve a name was actually not his uncle. He just glanced at it lightly, and then focused on the woman in front of him who was still trying to maintain her demeanor. The smile at the corner of her mouth became more and more wanton. As for your second point, that's your Zhao family's business, what does it have to do with me? If you make friends with someone today, everyone will be happy. If you don't make friends, I guess the positions of the four major families should be moved. Oh, I would also like to remind you that when I have free time, I will stop by Wang's house to sit for a while. Remember to prepare snacks, fruits, tea, and so on. The savings will be the same as this time. I won't even give you a seat. It's rude. Instrument. Wang Yi listened calmly to what Lu Zhaoqi said before. But after Lu Zhaoqi mentioned the Wang family, Wang Yi's eyes suddenly became sharp. Lu Zhaoqi's words are almost equivalent to saying, I've shown my cards, I won't pretend anymore. Even if I don't tell you everything about the dirty relationship between you and Zhao Xueqing, I still know a lot about it. So don't do this to me. I'll settle the score with you first. After the score is settled, the Wang family will still have a share. However, Wang Yi still looked calm, as if Lu Zhaoqi's unceremonious words were like a breeze blowing on her face. However, the few people behind suddenly lost their restraint. How brave! Don't think that just because you are a sunshine adventurer, you can do whatever you want. I want to ask you for advice today. The people making the noise were a few young and energetic young men. They were only in their 20s, and their strength had already reached Yuexi level. It was the time when they were young and energetic. They were naturally dissatisfied and resentful of this so-called Sun Yao strongman who suddenly appeared. Although they knew that there was a clear gap in strength between the two sides, they still went forward without hesitation because of their enthusiasm. Lu Zhaoqi could tell at a glance that these stupid young people were just a bunch of idiots who knew nothing and were being taken advantage of. There was no serious murderous intention, just a slight flick of the sleeves, and a few shouting people who were still gathering strength to talk loudly were fired like cannonballs. This time, the elders who had stood in front of them before could not protect them. Therefore, just hearing a whoosh, a few people turned into a black spot in the sky. The noise suddenly disappeared. Most of the remaining people are older people. They are naturally no longer as impulsive as the younger generations, but after taking a look at the situation, they all tensed up, secretly raised their weapons, and were ready to take action. Lu Zhaoqi pretended to pick her ears and said, "What's going on? I seem to have heard flies flying around my ears just now." There was a hint of sarcasm in his eyes. There is no extra price for increasing the volume of the 8 classics, bro. Although there are still 2 chapters, the quality is the same as the Energy Gathering Ring. 1 chapter is better than 6 chapters, why don't you give me a free gift now? The audience wants to see me confronting the Zhao family head-on. First, he said that it would be a disgrace for you, a powerful Sun Yao warrior, to just act up, and then he used the country to oppress others. The main focus is an unusual continent. If I, Mr. Lu, don't give you this face, and skip the intermediate process and directly get angry, how will you respond? At this moment, he could only force a smile and say, Lu Rieo is joking. As she said that, she stepped sideways and raised her hand, making a gesture of please come in and said, Lu Rieo, please come in. Besides, Xueqing is still waiting for you inside. While talking, Lu Zioqi noticed that Wang Yi made a gesture, which seemed to tell people to seize the time to activate the backup plan. Wang Yi also noticed something was wrong the moment Lu Zioqi put her foot down. Her face changed slightly when she heard this, and she almost couldn't maintain her previous calmness. It's unseemly to do this, and it's not a good thing for you or me in the Dragon Kingdom. As soon as these words came out, they were not very lethal but extremely insulting. All the Zhao family members present showed angry faces. Actually, he said slowly, you don't know where Zhao Xueqing was hidden by Zhao Yehua, right? It is impossible to be tough, not even in this life. Wang Yi's words hit the mark again. Then Lu Zioqi said quietly, it looks like it will take a while for Mistress Zhao's backup plan to be activated. Non-existent. I officially announce that I, Lu, am going crazy. As he spoke, his aura began to rise, and the huge sense of oppression caused the people around him to step back, looking at Lu Zioqi, who was slowly lifted into the air by the huge power with horrified expressions. Although she was safe in terms of condition, she had not seen her. Even if someone put a knife on her neck, Lu Zioqi would not know. Fuck you, can I, Lu Zioqi, give you a chance to cheat on me in person? What? As the son of the Dragon Kingdom, you actually attack the head of the Dragon Kingdom family. This is an act that destroys your own morale and increases the prestige of others. The Dragon Kingdom will not let it go. The reason why Lu Zioqi never really fell out with Wang Yi was because he was unsure of Zhao Xueqing's current situation. As soon as these words came out, everyone present turned pale. Lu Zioqi's cool armor that had just been smelted slowly covered her whole body, then I'll be relieved. In the end, it was even more vaguely threatening. Come here, watch the tea. He raised his feet as a gesture, but after a pause, he gently put his feet down with Wang Yi's smile on her face, without moving a step forward. Zhao Xueqing is still in my hands. Aren't you afraid that I will tear you apart? Wang Yi raised her hand to signal them not to act rashly. Instead, she smiled and said, it's our Zhao family that has lost its etiquette. But after Wang Yi said this, Lu Zioqi smiled instead. We have already sent people to contact the head of the family. I believe that the head of the family will come as soon as he learns of Lu Rieo's arrival. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 397. What kind of experience would it be like for a powerful Yuan Shen, Sun Yao, who has cheated to play against a group of adventurers who are no taller than Yu Hui? Let's put it this way, Wushuan mowing the grass, do you understand? Lu Zioqi is the invincible Lu Buletin, while those from the Zhao family are just a bunch of defeated soldiers. That's probably what it feels like. The attacks launched by others with all their strength were only to the extent that Lu Zioqi could defeat them with just a raise of his hand. However, in the face of Lu Zioqi's casual blow, whether they joined forces to resist or dodge, they were as if they were on the ground. They are as humble as ants, and in the end they only end up being mercilessly crushed. The sword intent emanating from Lu Zioqi's body now seemed to be of substance, and he reached the point of triggering the rules effortlessly. Even if he just made a look, the power of the rules filled with sword intent would be enough to instantly kill anyone present. He even had the leisure to stop and let them join forces to launch the final counterattack. And then, in front of them, tear their hopes apart bit by bit. The Zhao family finally struggled to launch a joint attack. The huge energy ball formed by the resonance of the secret technique was easily caught by Lu Zioqi with one hand. Then he continued to compress it in his hands, gradually turning from azure blue to deep, and finally a touch of black. As Lu Xiaoqi casually clasped his palms together into a fist, the energy ball in his palm was directly destroyed in the desperate eyes of everyone. Only faint energy fluctuations and a boom sound were left. It's like a cannon was set off in this huge Zhao family house. The next moment, Lu Xiaoqi's counterattack arrived. He pressed the void with one hand. Whether it was those who had been lingering on the field or those who were coming to join the battle, their faces changed drastically, as if they had been hit by a huge shock wave. He vomited blood and flew backwards, falling to the ground unable to move. Wang Yi also lay weakly among the group of people. She was no longer as calm and elegant as before, her face was full of ferocity and resentment, and her eyes were fixed on Lu Xiaoqi, as if she was trying to cut him into pieces with her eyes. The moment the two sides fought, she lost her proud cultivation, skills, and equipment. She could only lie helplessly on the ground and watch what happened next. Lu Xiaoqi just stimulated the effectiveness of her own magic power. This extraordinary spiritual power spontaneously eroded Wang Yi's body, turning her equipment into scraps and all her cultivation into nothing. After losing her cultivation, she could no longer use her skills. Being restrained by her magic power, even moving a finger had to depend on Lu Xiaoqi's will. Therefore, she could only watch as Lu Xiaoqi killed every step of the way and wiped out all the loyal subordinates she had brought with her. Almost instantly, Lu Xiaoqi destroyed everything she had accumulated over the past 30 years. How can you not hate her? Who else? Standing alone in the grounds of the Zhao family residence, Lu Xiaoqi put her hands behind her back and scanned the whole place indifferently. The air was filled with a faint smell of blood. The people of the Zhao family lay scattered on the ground. Some of them still had the strength to moan, but most of them were already lying on the ground motionless. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that some of these immobile people are deliberately pretending to be dead. But most of them have actually received their lunch boxes. In fact, Lu Xiaoqi had already started to act in a relatively gentle manner. At least for those who died, Lu Xiaoqi tried his best to leave their whole bodies decently. As for those who didn't die, they were seriously injured at most, and they recovered after lying down at home for more than half a year. This was mainly because Lu Xiaoqi also considered that she was Zhao Xueqing's natal family after all. If they had a complete falling out, it would be embarrassing for her father-in-law. He didn't care about what others thought, but he couldn't help but consider Zhao Xueqing's own feelings. As for Wang Yi, Lu Xiaoqi did not give her death directly, not because of mercy, but mainly because he wanted to leave her to Zhao Xueqing to deal with it herself. Including those who died, most of them were ghosts who were loyal to Wang Yi, except for a few who did not know what was going to happen and wanted to kill Lu Xiaoqi. Lu Xiaoqi has confirmed this with the destroying illusion Dharma Eye, and there is basically no possibility of error, unless someone is so ruthless that he can even deceive his own voice. Then his death would not be unjust. The remaining Zhao family members who were still intact were completely scared out of their wits by Lu Xiaoqi. When Lu Xiaoqi glanced over, they knelt down tremblingly and took the initiative to put down their weapons and surrender. Lu Xiaoqi smiled disdainfully. Although he looked down on these guys, their presence saved Lu Xiaoqi a lot of things. Let me inform your family master immediately. I hope to see him appear in front of me within a quarter of an hour, otherwise. Lu Xiaoqi didn't say anything, just glanced at the people lying on the ground. The consequences are self-evident. But immediately someone knelt down and cried, "Please calm down, Lu Rieo, we have already informed the head of the family, but we can't contact him." Oh, Lu Xiaoqi raised her eyebrows and hummed, "I came to ask everyone in person, but I don't believe it. No one in the entire Zhao family can contact their head." These words were said with murderous intent, and one couldn't help but think of what would happen to those who couldn't contact the head of the family. Maybe he is just like those people who lie on the ground and never get up. Lu Xiaoqi said fiercely, striding towards the Zhao family, scaring the limp losers back away, fearing that he would catch him and ask about Zhao Yehua's whereabouts. As for whether he was pretending or really, who knows. But Lu Xiaoqi was indeed a little restless. Well. At this time, a deep sigh from the inner door caught Lu Xiaoqi's attention, causing him to stop involuntarily. An old man with a cane in his hand walked out slowly. His wrinkled old face was filled with the sadness of unfortunate family. His hazy eyes looked at the tall figure exuding infinite power in front of him. He said in a slightly hoarse old voice, "Please calm down, Lu Rieo. I know the whereabouts of the family master. You, sir, have a lot of them, so just let them go." Lu Xiaoqi had actually noticed this old man for a long time. In fact, no one in the Zhao family can hide his perception. This is just an ordinary old man with gray hair. Lu Xiaoqi naturally has no interest in being rough with an ordinary person. He only likes to attack those who are strong and self-righteous. Lu Xiaoqi couldn't help but feel a little surprised that such an ordinary person could stand up bravely in the face of the powerful pressure emanating from the Riyao powerhouse. This also made him feel a little respect for the old man. He quickly put away the pressure he exuded, and also removed his super god weapon Black Rose. He walked up to the old man and said in a gentle tone, "Old man, you mean, do you know the whereabouts of the Zhao family leader?" The old man nodded, "I know who you are looking for, come with me." At this moment, Zhao Xueqing, whom Lu Xiaoqi could not find, was in another space, staring blankly at the light blue figure standing on the high throne. The woman who is almost exactly like her. I saw her gently brushing the long, white hair that fell from her forehead with her crystal clear fingers, smiling slightly at Zhao Xueqing and saying, "You're here." Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 398. Just when Zhao Xueqing was undergoing the so-called inheritance trial, the old man also successfully led Lu Xiaoqi to the secret room where various formations were arranged and shone with a forbidden luster. "It's so troublesome." Lu Xiaoqi frowned slightly, looking at the layer upon layer of seemingly endless formation restrictions, and was suddenly speechless. Is the Zhao family leader afraid of some serious illness? Why are you stacking so many restrictions? Is there some kind of persecutory delusion? No wonder the Zhao family leader is still able to remain motionless despite the turmoil outside. Lu Xiaoqi even doubted that even if he knew what was happening outside, would he have time to unlock so many formations? With Lu Xiaoqi's limited understanding of the formation, it was obviously hopeless to gently and safely crack this dense formation that would make one's scalp numb. But that doesn't mean there's nothing he can do with a secret room that looks like a curled-up hedgehog. No matter what peerless formations you have that can shock the world and make ghosts and gods cry, they are all not enough in front of my magic power that contains the original rules of heaven and earth. Lu Xiaoqi smiled slightly at the old man and said, "Please stay away, old man, my grandson, Ba. I, Lu Xiaoqi, am going in." It was said that Lu Xiaoqi gently flicked out a soft magic power to send the old man dozens of meters away and protected him. And he himself covered his whole body with mana carelessly, and crashed straight into the secret room shrouded in layers of various restrictions. Boom! Ouch! Lu Xiaoqi grinned and rubbed his forehead. Despite all the calculations, he had revealed one thing. His good father-in-law, he actually locked the door. Just now, with the help of the original rules in his own magic, he effortlessly broke through the layers of restrictions and came to the door of the secret room. But he bumped into the secret room door wall made of various rare materials by his father-in-law. This sudden and unprepared collision made Lu Xiaoqi's eyes flash with stars. Although he has extraordinary attributes and extraordinary abilities, he is still made of flesh and blood. If he bumps into a material that is dozens of times harder than a titanium alloy steel plate without using any skills, the feeling will not be too good. In particular, this thing seems to have a layer of anti-injury properties. No matter how hard Lu Xiaoqi puts it on, it will give Lu Zhaoqi as much strength as possible. Everyone knows how high Mr. Lu's strength is. This double rebound acted on him, and even if he wasn't thrown away directly, he was still standing. Looking at the tightly closed dark door of the secret room that had lost its restraint, Lu Zhaoqi rubbed his red nose and showed a dumbfounded expression. Then a cool black gold sword slowly formed in his hand, black rose partially transformed. Swipe the two swords, and a beautiful sword flower bloomed quietly on the door of the secret room. The next huge gap that was large enough to pass through appeared silently in the secret room. Lu Zhaoqi stepped into the secret room, but was shocked to see an almost transparent middle-aged handsome man lying quietly in the formation in the center of the secret room. He was motionless, as if he had lost his life. "I'll go." "Right." His pupils shrank. "This is Zhao Yehua, the contemporary head of the Zhao family. My father-in-law, who had not yet been masked, just received the lunchbox and died." Hey. Why don't you tell me where Zhao Sueking is now?" Lu Zhaoqi quickly flew forward to check the situation. But his outstretched hand passed through Zhao Yehua's remnant body without any hindrance. It was as if the body in front of me was just a virtual image. Seeing this situation, Lu Zhaoqi immediately thought of the scene in the adventurer competition where Zhao Sueking overused her Kunwu mirror. I am even more convinced that the disappearance of the so-called Kunwu mirror was directed and acted by the Zhao family. The purpose is Zhao Sueking. Then you can't die. Lu Zhaoqi snorted, and as his eyes opened and closed, golden light flickered. Countless mana surged out and turned into a connection to forcefully pull Zhao Yehua, who had turned into a phantom. The next moment, above the sky suddenly lost its color. The endless void suddenly emerged on this land, and huge stars were lit up in rows. The dazzling starlight poured down, forming a spectacle. The galaxy rewinds. I don't know how many people saw this scene, and how many people were shocked. Come back to me, you. The next moment, yin and yang reversed, and something reversal of life and death happened to Zhao Yehua. His body, which had begun to disintegrate, suddenly stabilized, and then pieces of bones formed in his shadow-like body, then veins and flesh, and finally skin and hair. Almost in the blink of an eye, a living Zhao Yehua appeared in front of Lu Zhaoqi. However, Lu Zhaoqi frowned again. Because Zhao Yehua's spirit is no longer in this body. In other words, the soul is gone. Even if this person is rescued, Ding Po Tian will still be in a vegetative state. This is not the effect Lu Zhaoqi wants to achieve. He was also planning to learn the whereabouts of Zhao Sueking from Zhao Yehua. Do you want to work harder? Lu Zhaoqi thought to herself. Then I heard a pitiful cry from behind, Dad. Zhao Sueking? A smile suddenly broke out on Lu Zhaoqi's face. She turned around and opened her hands. Sueking, I'll pick you up. Before he finished speaking, he saw the wind-like woman passing by him, and in a blink of an eye, she pounced on the middle-aged man lying on the ground. Wake up, Dad. Lu Zhaoqi. Hey, don't you see that I'm such a big living person here? I came all the way to save you, and you didn't even look at me? Lu Zhaoqi muttered in her heart. But for the sake of her dead father, Lu Zhaoqi didn't care about it, and even planned to step forward to comfort her. But he hasn't spoken yet. Just then, the middle-aged man who was lying dead suddenly coughed twice and opened his eyes in confusion. Ahem. Sueking. Am I dreaming? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 399. As the head of the Zhao family personally stepped forward to take charge of the overall situation, this matter finally came to an end. Lu Zhaoqi, who swept away the Zhao family, was not only not regarded as a blood feud, but was also treated as a guest of honor because she brought chaos to order and exposed Wang Yi's conspiracy. As for Wang Yi's fate, Lu Xiaoqi didn't ask too much. She only knew that Zhao Yehua wanted to let her die in a rhythmic way because of the relationship between husband and wife. With her were her two scoundrels. At the same time, this incident also represents the official break between the Zhao family and the Wang family. However, the Zhao family, which had regained its supreme combat power, finally regained its confidence as the head of the four major families. Not only did they point their noses at the Wang family and scolded the Wang family for using these despicable methods behind the scenes, but they also openly criticized the Wang family. Don't give up, meaning you are never done with him. This confused the Wang family, who were still dreaming happily. The Zhao family, how dare you? After asking around, I found out that it was Riao who was supporting the Zhao family behind their backs. This immediately made the Wang family very angry. Let's put aside the reaction of the Wang family. But they misunderstood one thing. What gave them the confidence was not Lu Xiaoqi at all, but Zhao Xueqing. After completing the trial, Zhao Xueqing has successfully awakened the strongest ability that the Zhao family has ever guarded. The first time this kind of power was used, even Lu Xiaoqi was startled and confused. In fact, this is not the first time he has fought against this kind of power. The first time I met him, I was frozen in place and unable to move. That's right, it's the kind of strange ability that the plus version of Zhao Xueqing once used in the barrier. At first, Lu Xiaoqi thought that Zhao Xueqing from the future had such strange and heaven-defying abilities because she understood the power of a further level of rules based on her own frost power after advancing to sunlight. However, what he never expected was that this power actually came from a country that was completely different from the copy. No wonder the feeling is so different. This also made Lu Xiaoqi even more curious about something. Hundreds of years ago, before the copies invaded, what was this original world like? He originally thought that the modern history of the world should be the same as the broken ball before he traveled through it, a purely realistic and demon-free world without aura or transcendence. But as his strength gradually improved and he came into contact with more and more things, he suddenly discovered that there seemed to be another side of the world that he didn't understand at all. Whether it is the five-color sacred stone, the Kunwu mirror passed down by Zhao Xueqing's ancestor, and the power of awakening, they all tell Lu Xiaoqi that the world is not as simple as he imagined. Zhao Xueqing not only awakened the power in her bloodline, but also obtained a series of related inheritances. This is a precious treasure left by their ancestors to their descendants, allowing her to master all her abilities as soon as she gets started. The remaining few points were improved rapidly during the sparring with Lu Xiaoqi, which was visible to the naked eye. Soon, Lu Xiaoqi was surprised to find that Zhao Xueqing could not be affected at all if only conventional means were used. He even said that even if he seriously fought with her, Zhao Xueqing could sustain several rounds under his hands. The key point is that Zhao Xueqing has obviously not fully developed the power of her bloodline. In this regard, Lu Xiaoqi could only sigh in 4 words, the future is promising. After savoring it carefully, Lu Xiaoqi discovered that this power, which Zhao Xueqing called sealing and eclipsing, was really quite extraordinary. Although it can't match the original power contained in Lu Xiaoqi's magic power, it is better because of its greater quantity. This power is not simply revealed. It is attached to Zhao Xueqing's original power of frost, giving it its own unique characteristics. First of all abilities used by Zhao Xueqing come with the power of sealing. This kind of power will attach to the hostile target as she casts the spell, and Lu Xiaoqi found that none of the currently known methods can remove the sealing power, so she can only bear it hard. The effect of this power is not obvious at first. It has a slow superposition process. After reaching a certain level, you will suddenly be surprised to find that your ability cannot be used. In professional game terms, all skills are black. But this is only the first step. Immediately afterwards, your entire body will be controlled by this force and you will be unable to move. Finally, the sealing power will gradually spread from your body to your soul, reaching the third stage, completely blocking your senses. At this time, you will fall into a state of absolute ignorance and insensibility, unable to feel anything, including the passage of time. Of course, Luzioki didn't know what the specific situation was. This was just what Zhao Xueqing described to him. Because the sealing power will be forcibly offset by Luzioki using his own magic power before it enters the second stage, so there will be no subsequent problems. This is also because Zhao Xueqing has not developed this ability to the extreme. Of course, we do not rule out the possibility that without the Zhao family, this power will completely disappear. The object attached to her sealed power will permanently lose its power. The specific situation is like her reaching out to touch the flowers in the mirror and the moon in the water. Even if Zhao Xueqing herself has no descendants, there will be people from other branches who will inherit this power. Unless one day, Zhao Xueqing can repair it. Or, she only has the right to use it, but not the right to own it. That is, Zhao Xueqing, who has awakened the power of blood, can no longer touch the Zhao family's ancestral treasure Kunwu mirror. Of course, Zhao Xueqing did not use this effect when she fought with Luzioki. After all, the two of them were not serious about flirting. Then again, it is impossible for Luzioki to stand still during this period. Maybe by the time Zhao Xueqing reaches that state, Luzioki will have already stepped through the void and soared into the sky. Unless the power of sealing and eclipse in her body completely dissipates one day, it will be possible to pick up the Kunwu mirror again. But this involves another problem. After all, in the game, even if you have less MP, you will still be at the same level as you should be, and you will not lose level because of this. It goes without saying how incredible this effect is. At the same time, it is also the reason why the Zhao family can rely on this power to gallop through the Dragon Kingdom and has been the head of the family for so many years. Even the relevant departments of the Dragon Kingdom have to give him some face. When the next generation of successors of the Zhao family appears, the sealing and erosion power that Zhao Xueqing currently possesses will gradually dissipate and appear on the next generation of successors. Afraid that his younger generation would not live up to expectations and was greedy for power, he hid the Kunwu mirror secretly, preventing future generations from having a successor. Needless to say, how terrifying this point is in the game. If it is put in reality, the effect will be even more exaggerated. But unfortunately, although Zhao Xueqing has awakened this power from her blood and can use it normally, this terrible power is not hers. And this process is irreversible. But in reality, the permanent loss of strength will cause a sharp decline in strength. Moreover, the emergence of the next generation of successors is inevitable, it just happens sooner or later. Oh, by the way, this powerful force is not complete. In other words, even if Zhao Xueqing kills the next generation successor, this power will not return to her. You can see it but you can never touch it. The design of this power is inspired by the power of Nuwa that appears in Fairy Sword. And Luzioki's understanding of this effect is to directly cut your MP limit. The incomplete Kunwu mirror does not have the ability to retain its complete power. It is also the supreme power that the Wang family covets. And this kind of loss is generally irreparable. If she is given enough time to specialize in this kind of power, even facing Luzioki at this time, she can completely freeze it with just one click. Except for the power of sealing. The combination of the two is the complete inheritance of the Zhao family's bloodline power, sealing and erosion. Zhao Xueqing's ability also has a unique eclipse effect. This may also be some kind of protection mechanism set up by the ancestors. Unless she can be ruthless enough to kill everyone in the Zhao family. Global copy, My talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 400. Perhaps it is precisely because of this that even though Zhao Xueqing has gained this new power and has greatly improved her strength, there is no new entry in the fetters given to her by the pure land of paradise. Because sealing and eclipsing does not belong to Zhao Xueqing in a fundamental sense. This made Lu secretly a little disappointed. After all, he wanted to see what kind of new bond entry attributes Zhao Xueqing, who had awakened her bloodline, could bring him. After all, a certain wall-hanging person has the ability to increase all bonds by add 1. But even so, Lu Zhaoqi still felt a little relieved to see Zhao Xueqing, who often smiled as the frost on her face gradually thawed. The reason why Zhao Xueqing was cold in the past was not because her temperament was really cold. It was caused by her experiences when she was young. Although the Zhao family is her bloodline, it is also an invisible mountain pressing on her, spurring her to work hard all the time in an attempt to prove herself. Her mother died young, but her only relative was a snobbish person who was obsessed with money, who remembers Zhao Xueqing's aunt. Although he also provided her with a certain amount of care on behalf of her parents to some extent, it was all based on the relationship between the Zhao family. In contrast, Zhao Xueqing relies more on the servant Wu Ma, who has watched her grow up since childhood. This incident also proves the loyalty of Wu Ma. And she has a father who has never been close to her since she can remember. Not to mention that there is a powerful lady who is secretly manipulating everything behind the scenes. In the past, she didn't understand her father's difficulties. She just thought that it was because she was not good enough that she could not get his father's attention. She was holding back her anger and wanted to prove herself to the entire Zhao family, and for her own death. The mother asked for justice. It was precisely because of this series of reasons that she forced herself to become cold and aloof. And after this incident, I heard my father reveal his true feelings in front of me, and watched him willing to sacrifice himself for me. Zhao Xueqing suddenly reconciled with herself. It was as if he had grown up overnight. Of course, if Mr. Lu hadn't intervened and rescued Zhao's father, Zhao Xueqing would probably still look bitter and resentful. But the matter was successfully resolved with Lu Zhaoqi's intervention. Zhao Xueqing's change is naturally excusable. As for how Father Zhao survived, to be honest, Lu himself was at a loss. Although he used his healing skills to reshape Zhao Yehua's body, Zhao Yehua had clearly lost his soul at that time and became a veritable living dead. But he didn't expect that after Zhao Xueqing threw herself on him, the lost soul would miraculously come back again. Afterwards, Zhao and Lu were puzzled and even asked the person involved, Zhao Yehua, about this. At that time, I had already seen your mother in my days. I am not swearing here, I am referring to Zhao's mother. Zhao Yehua's eyes were still a little hazy when he talked about this matter. He held Zhao Xueqing's hand, his strong and handsome face full of tenderness and kindness. She is just as I remember her. Just when I rushed away happily and wanted to hug her and express my feelings to her, she pushed me away. She said she still had unfulfilled wishes. Xueqing is too young and she is worried. She wants me to come back and take care of her until our daughter finds the person she loves, gets married and has children. When he said this, Lu Zhaoqi clearly felt a vague gaze looking at him. It was as if the examining gaze before was just his illusion. Father Zhao, who came out last, was expressionless, while Lu Zhaoqi had a wry smile on her face. Fortunately, after the conversation, Zhao Yehua did not stop Zhao Xueqing from continuing to get close to Lu Zhaoqi, but just turned a blind eye. The content of the conversation between the two is unknown. Of course, it was not just Lu Zhaoqi who left, but also Zhao Xueqing. And this matter just ended like this. She threw herself into her father's arms and acted coquettishly, like a child who had not grown up. Is it possible that Lu Zhaoqi can still pull Zhao's mother out of the urn, who has been dead for more than 10 years? So I let it go easily. It wasn't until Zhao Yehua completely cleaned up the Zhao family, reorganized their style, and properly handled all the subsequent turmoils that he submitted his resignation to Zhao's father. After all, the first thing he said when he came up was, "Actually, the first time I saw you, I knew that you were a passionate and carefree person." Zhao Xueqing was naturally extremely curious about this result. She tried to trick Lu Zhaoqi countless times, but the tight-lipped Lu Zhaoqi cleverly noticed it. But when he raised his head and looked at Zhao's father, he still looked at Zhao Xueqing tenderly. Father Zhao obviously didn't want to say more, so what if he asked? It's just that everything she has experienced has packaged her as too mature and calm, and people often overlook her age. Lu Zhaoqi was deep in thought. In fact, this girl has just turned 18 and is in her prime. However, before leaving, Zhao Yehua came specifically to find Lu Zhaoqi, and the two talked in private for a long time in the secret room. Of course Mr. Lu kept his word. He said he would take Zhao Xueqing away, so he must take her with him. Zhao Yehua knew that with the resources of the Zhao family, Zhao Xueqing, who had reached the peak level of Yuehui, could no longer advance further. She inherited Zhao Yehua's original strength after passing the trial. Now she can finally take off all disguises in front of her relatives and express her emotions unscrupulously. Who asked Zhao Yehua to play such a big role and start a confession game? Lu Zhaoqi lived in the Zhao family for a while. Zhao Xueqing probably won't be able to keep your heart. This idea seems, not impossible. Maybe he can even add a Sun Yao powerhouse to the Zhao family. It's better to let her go out and practice with Lu Zhaoqi, who has great opportunities and great luck. After many attempts to no avail, Zhao Xueqing could only pout and choose to give up. Lu Zhaoqi just accepted it as a story and stopped asking any more questions. Zhao Xueqing was obviously very shy about this answer. When will he be able to truly advance to the level of controlling reincarnation? It is probably possible. Forgive me as a father for speaking so bluntly. If Lu Rieo just wants to have fun with his little girl, he should leave as soon as possible. In fact, it was not that Lu Zhaoqi didn't want to talk about this conversation, but that he really didn't dare to talk to Zhao Xueqing before he was ready. Of course, even if he really wanted to do this, Lu Zhaoqi's current ability would undoubtedly be a little short of the mark.